How shitty has this week been for big cryptocurrency?
Oh man, it's good for people that learn late about crypto, but it's bad for people that've been knowing about crypto because that shit is like cheap. that shit is that like it's like down 20,000 or 10,000.
At one point today, at one point today, Bitcoin was at $30,000. Now, the last time it was at $30,000 was months and months and months ago. Now, it was close to $60,000 like a week and a half ago. It's a super volatile market, and I've had some very smart people tell me that if you're going to buy crypto, if you're going to get into Bitcoin, this is the time to do it because it's never going to get this low again. Apparently, the smart thing to do at 60 was to dump everything, to sell everything, uh, make a couple of statements, and then buy it again on the cheap.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
but if you got in Bitcoin at 50,000, uh, you just saw whatever money you thought you were going to make disappear.
You hurting right now. Yeah, you
Um,
really hurt. You really hurting right now.
I
It's but also it speaks on the power. Well, not the power, just the influence that Elon Musk has. He
oh
just
yeah,
said one thing about it, and it dropped. You know what I mean? So much. It's ridiculous.
oh dude. Um, One he says one or two things, right? And it looks super trippy right now. If you're watching this on acid, you are probably having fun. But if you're watching this on acid, you should probably find better things to watch on acid. Anyway, yeah, he made a couple of comments. He tweeted a couple of things, and now it seems like one dude who we've allowed, right? We have to remember it's like anyone else, any other major talking head. Maybe it's Oprah, maybe it's Joe Rogan, maybe it's Elon Musk, maybe it's one of these celebrities that is at this point is just famous for having opinions of some sort. Um, Elon Musk is a person that we've allowed to have so much influence on one or two or three or four industries that the shit he says and the shit he does will affect entire industries, whether it's SpaceX and space exploration, whether it's electric cars, uh, whether it's cryptocurrency, whether it's off grid living, right? He has attached himself to these industries so much so that it's almost like, yeah, whatever he says kind of goes, like, and we're just gonna deal with it. His opinion is the one that matters the most.
I've never seen that much power since like Oprah was like co-signing books. Remember that? And if Oprah co-signed your book, you were straight.
Yeah, and then she ended up like co-signing some shit she shouldn't have co-signed, and it came back to bite
Exactly.
her.
Exactly. I remember, but there was a time when Oprah said your book was good. Your book couldn't stay in Barnes and Noble. Your book,
No,
it was sold out everywhere.
no, I mean you had Oprah's book club, like that was a real thing. Like, and to be
Yeah,
featured on Oprah's book club was a big deal. And shit, that was
you was set.
change your life money.
Yeah, that you was set. You, you made hundreds of millions. If Oprah said you had a decent book, you made hundreds of millions of dollars in a month. Not a couple million, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Generated a lot of money was generated off of your work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you: do you think she ever took money?
Me, I don't like to put. I don't say I'm not assume. I'm a spiritual type of guy, but I'm not a religious type of guy, and I don't like to assume or put things on people. But I don't think she's took money, but I do think she's had friends that have done work, and she's scratched their back and they scratched hers.
I don't think that she read every book that was on Oprah's book club. I don't think so. I
I agree on that.
you know
I can agree on that.
I it just
Because what was the book that she co-signed that she got in trouble for?
All the Broken Pieces, if I'm not mistaken. But she also co-signed Harvey Weinstein. There was a woman who sued Harvey Weinstein that
Oh
said
man,
that,
she
um,
brought she brought women to Harvey Weinstein.
yeah,
She literally was hooking up. Let's get you. She was literally hooking up Harvey Weinstein, and she always was bashing pedophiles in like in different communities. But when she came to Harvey Weinstein, her and that other girl didn't say nothing because they was super cool with him on a personal level. Like they was always kicking it with him, always invited to their spots and everything. And she said numerous times, this is not me saying, not me just making opinion. She just said numerous times she's brought women over to meet Harvey Weinstein.
yeah. She was helping Harvey get laid. She knew what was up.
Yeah.
Um, oh man. Oh, by the way, apparently, Obama's girls interned for Harvey.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, Michelle loved Harvey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
such great judges of character.
But also it's like you don't. It's also scary to the fact that I don't know if he did anything like on that magnitude with them or with Oprah. But it's also scary the fact is you don't know anybody until you know somebody.
I don't know, man. The president's kids hung out with this guy, right? That means that he had to be vetted. That means that someone from the Secret Service was like, there's a thing, Mr. Obama, that we should probably be concerned about, and it's Harvey Weinstein's predilection for rape. Apparently, he's a raper.
Yeah, but you also like people go off their words and vibes. K. Michelle hang out with R. Kelly for years, never had a problem. And that's her experience with R. Kelly. There's a lot of musicians that hung out with R. Kelly that never had a problem that were females. Not to say he wasn't a rapist, because it's proven and documented. You know what I'm saying? It's like rape. People like that are also not they're not stupid. They know who they can target and press because they can know that they can target and who they can press. And there's plenty of pastors. We can get into pastors or any position of powers where people of the opposite sex or people that they were targeting hanging around them, and they didn't do nothing to those people. But other people, they did things to them.
Yeah. What if it's just not their type? I mean, so I've not
also to keep it real, Harvey Weinstein, if he did anything to the president's daughter, anything, what type of bag someone would put on his type of head. You know what I mean? Like it would have been over if any like slight word came out of him doing anything. I know if it was my kid and I was the president and I didn't really know about you, and I found out you did something to my kid, it will be over for you.
You don't get too deep into the conspiracies, do you?
You have inspired me to dig a little bit, and I actually been Googling lizard people, and I found the guy that actually made the conspiracy, and it's an interesting conspiracy.
David Icke.
Yes.
David Icke is an interesting human being. He was a well-respected athlete. He was a well-respected sportscaster who one day said, "I am the Godhead," and broke down the aliens and the lizard people. And there's some really interesting information there with Dave Icke, because it seems to have come out of nowhere, but everything that he said has kind of come to be, or a lot of the things he said has come to be. Maybe not necessarily on the timetable, but there are conspiracies about the Obama children, that they are not the children of Barack and Michelle. So then there's that.
I don't know, man.
I don't know if you've heard that one. And again, I'm not saying it. I'm just informing you. Like these are.
I feel you.
So apparently, she was the first lady. So I have a hard time saying it. But apparently, at one point, Michelle Obama was a gentleman by the name of Michael.
I've heard of it. I've heard of this conspiracy.
And it's apparently very. I haven't spent a whole lot of time looking, but it's very hard to find pictures of a pregnant Michelle Obama.
Hmm. This
Now,
this is this is
now
interesting.
I can tell you, like through my experience, right, having kids, taking pictures all the fucking time. Watch that belly grow. Look at that belly. You're getting so big and fat and beautiful. It's my princess. Nah, bro. Like there are pictures all that, and those would be pictures that we see everywhere on the news. There would be, if you Google Michelle Obama pregnant, you should come up with 1,000 different photos, but you don't. So the rumor is that the children are clones and da 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 da. So if the children are clones and Michelle is really Michael, does it really matter if the children are sacrifices?
In
Because
that conspiracy, following that conspiracy, I wouldn't think I wouldn't think it matters.
yeah,
But
okay. So then we're gonna follow that. Because again, I'm telling you, like Secret Service, Harvey Weinstein is getting vetted. All right, investigators are going up his ass. They're going all like they should be at least like, and someone should have said something to the president if they didn't know, right? Like, as if they're making
Harvey Weinstein had too much power. Like he was literally running Hollywood. Like this is before you understand. Like when I talk to young people or whatever stuff like that, I try to explain Harvey Weinstein's power was like Harvey Weinstein was Hollywood, and if he wasn't co-signing your movie, you was not getting in there. This is before Netflix, before all these other outlets, before it became so easy to independent to the point where if Harvey Weinstein thought bad about you, or you try to make him feel bad, you would get shut down. There's a lot of people that so Harvey Weinstein did whatever the fuck he wanted all the time, like to men, women. He did not get like I've heard stories, and even like him like testifying in court where he was whipping out his private. I don't know how ratchet we can get on this. How ratchet can we get on this podcast?
I mean, was he like whipping it out at kids or what?
No, he was putting it on a grown man's shoulder.
And oftentimes it's like a dominance thing. I am dominating you to the point where I can whip my dick out on you. And what the fuck are you going to do about it? But Harvey Weinstein, he had a lot of power. Like the reason we know who Quentin Tarantino is because of studios like Miramax. That we got things like Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. Like the reason that films look the way they look now, in large part, is because of guys like Harvey Weinstein. However,
that's
stuff.
very true.
There's all this other stuff that was so well known that Seth MacFarlane is making jokes about it at the friggin' at the Oscars. You know, like it's so well known, it's so well documented that before any of this stuff becomes something that's talked about, Seth MacFarlane is making it something to be talked about, something to be discussed.
That's the problem with people. That type of people in power, just like R. Kelly. It was well known to what he was doing, but he was paying people a salary that they knew that if they said something or if they spoke out, they would never see that type of money again.
Well, there's not just that. There's lawyers. There's non-disclosure agreements. And I don't know if you've had to sign an NDA yet, but they're pretty intimidating. Like an NDA. What's up?
I have.
Yeah, they're pretty intimidating because it's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna shut the fuck up about all of this. But in the case of someone like R. Kelly, you have all of those lawyers. You have like this dude beat it the first time, and there was video.
Bro, he did, and he had the balls to when he left court. He hollered at a girl in front of the courthouse and got her number.
Well, because he was not
with her that night.
But remember though, your boy, my boy, the greatest rapper of all time, Mr. Jehovah H to the Izzo himself, still recorded 2 albums worth of music with this man.
Yeah, but as soon as he got word, he canceled that tour. And that
Well,
he canceled that. He canceled it. And he did. That's what he did. But Dame was telling him for years, don't fuck with R. Kelly, and he wasn't listening to Dame. He wasn't listening to Dame because Dame and Aaliyah was tight, and Dame was warning him. Hov kept blowing him off, and blowing it off. Then when they got blown up into the public, he cut him off.
well, that was Dame's girl. Like Dame and Aaliyah were
Yeah,
together. So
yeah,
that's a weird thing. Like that's a weird thing to have your coworker now working with someone who used to date your girlfriend when they were 14. Like it's just
yeah.
it's a weird thing, and I don't know how that conversation goes. Like I don't. It's a weird conversation, and how do you propose it the second time? Because they made that album fucking twice. All right, they made the best of both worlds, and then they did Unfinished Business, right?
Yes, they did.
So Jay-Z, who saw the video, right? Jay-Z saw the same video that everyone else saw, right? Knows it existed, was able to get over it. So yeah, he dropped it and canceled the tour and all that shit. But then after the shit got resolved in court, he was like, all right, well, you know, you made was it Chocolate Factory? And that's a really good album. It's a fucking great album.
That shit is fire. I'm sorry to say, but that shit, hey, we have to come to a point of society that people that are completely horrible can contribute wonderful things to society, and we can acknowledge their good work, but we do not have to co-sign their behavior. Henry Ford in vehicles. Henry Ford was a trash person. Henry Ford was horrible. R. Kelly was horrible as a person. There's a couple people in society that was horrible, but their contributes were just, it inspired a lot of good things. Like, I Believe I Can Fly was in churches. All churches was singing I Believe I Can Fly. Like graduations, that was a beautiful spiritual song.
Funerals.
You know what I mean? So like,
so back
horrible
in the
people.
day, Rapper Bill, I used to hit the road with a singer by the name of Darnell, and he would rock out because he could hit everything, and he would hit it a cappella. He would kill it a cappella. Yeah, that song, fucking people fell in love to that song.
People get emotional for that song. And like Two-Stepping in the Name of Love, all the old folks still dance with that. The kids still dance with that. Like, these are, R. Kelly has made some, I will never co-sign this man's behavior, but his music, timeless.
Half on a Baby.
Bump and Grind.
Aside from an ID, he sees
the
very
remix
little wrong.
And the original.
Piss on You was another great one.
Oh man.
Yeah. So one of the things that you and I were trying to talk about on the live, and we got to get to that, because when my internet says internet unstable, that means that I'm going to have to do dad stuff probably in about 10 minutes. And
Okay.
so the Joe Rogan saying, and I don't want to, I'm paraphrasing here because it's all off of headline.
I saw it.
But essentially that he feels that the voices of straight white men are being silenced. Or did he even say straight? Just that white men were being increasingly being silenced.
I think he said white men were being silenced. But how I feel about that is like, as a man, I feel like the voices of a lot of men are being held accountable to what they say, because misogyny and a couple other things that are problems in society was so prevalent and so long that to the point it hasn't really been checked. Where I saw this meme, and it kind of goes with this, where what we're saying, where back in the days, our parents used to say, don't put your elbows on the table because you're being rude. Then after that, they would say a racial slur.
Yeah, my dinner table wasn't much like that. People's thoughts and ideas evolve, right? And that's across it's across racial lines, it's across class lines. Generally over time people's ideas evolve, and it's cultural as well. Like some things that
Mm.
are culturally appropriate here wouldn't necessarily be culturally appropriate in Dubai or in
The
Afghanistan
Philippines.
or in Asia, wherever, right? Like any number of places, things that would be okay here and things that are okay there wouldn't necessarily be okay here. um, but a couple of things. I thought it was weird that the guy that has the number one podcast on the internet, and by the way, self-made, right? Like it's his name on the banner, right? He did that by himself. Um,
Respect.
he's not. I mean, and I understand that he is. I see that they are. He is trying to be censored. All right, like I did. I don't know if you noticed this, but like a lot of the early Alex Jones stuff is like not available on Spotify. Stuff with Dave
Oh
Asprey is
man.
not available on Spotify. The stuff with that Rogan did with these guys is not available for to listen to watch. I mean, they're still available
No,
because the internet's big and wild, but um, the internet is kind of what we
they
discussed.
really took that.
What's up?
Can I comment? Come on, I'm gonna comment in. They really took down the Alex Jones interview with Joe Rogan.
They've taken down, I believe, it's the older ones, like all of like the old
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, but that was when he went on to Spotify. Like this stuff gets taken down. It's not going to be on their platform. So when you look at that and you start looking at like stuff being actively removed and actively censored, yeah, there's that. But that's not just him, right? That's everybody. Everybody is meeting that kind of censorship. Regardless of who you are, what you're saying, Pharaoh Aten has seen some censorship.
Minister, Minister Farrakhan.
All I mean, they're all getting censored, all of them. But the thing about the internet is you and I discussed on Instagram is like it's the great equalizer for everyone, right? Everybody gets to have a voice. But if a company like YouTube decides these are what their public standards are, these are what their community standards are, and if you violate them, you're not allowed to join the community. Um, so then you have to the option then is to find something else, find another way to host your information, and that exists throughout the internet. That's what the internet exists for. Um, but it's the responsibility of, I think, the content provider to amplify their own voice if they think their voice needs to be heard.
I agree. I mean, honestly, me and you have the same feelings on the whole Joe Rogan thing. But it also, you have to understand, like, I don't know. I'm not gonna say it's a race thing or it's a money thing, but like the privilege that some people then had on podcasts on YouTube, that if I did it or you did it or you said that, we would be in jail. Like Alex Jones completely made a conspiracy about kids not being shot. You know what I mean? At a school shooting, their parents got harassed. They had to move to a different state. You know what I mean? If we was like co-signing conspiracies like that, and it wasn't like it's not like he was going on his platform saying, "This is what I think. This is my opinion." He was saying, "This is what's going on," and people were really getting hurt by this guy's misinformation on the internet. If I did that, I would be in jail. You know what I mean?
So he was sued. I believe he's paying money on that. He's been deplatformed. He's no longer on YouTube. So as far as like the Sandy Hook stuff, like he's paid his penance for that.
Have you seen the interview? Have you seen the interview when they put him and the parents in the same room?
I have not. I have not. But there's something about that that is almost like pornographic. Like it's like it. Why that would be televised would be beyond me. But um, that's a weird one. It's the Sandy Hook shooting. Yeah, but at the same time, you can point to all the other times he was right and hasn't been sued.
100. You know, he back in older Alex Jones was a right, because I used to listen to his stuff. older Alex Jones was right about a lot of stuff. But until he started getting into like, I don't know what happened to him. So he started getting into like pitching like exercise medicine and stuff like that. That's when he kind of got weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like really, really weird. I don't know if he was doing a lot of those pills or he was doing something else. But older Alex Jones was more economic based, more it was more about money, and like it wasn't very like right or left. It was about where money is going and how money is getting transferred and stuff like that. Because I've listened to Alex Jones a lot. And but as soon as he started selling pills, man, it's just something about those pills that it just went downhill real fast.
Okay, so I can kind of answer to that, right? So if you're not on a platform like CNN, if you're not on a platform like NBC, right? But you still have to support the like a certain video quality, a certain audio quality. You can't do that all by yourself. At a certain point, you got to hire people to do that, and people who are good at doing that, they require a decent, a good salary, even if they believe in the work they're doing. So how do you do that? You have your merchandise, you sell your T-shirts, your hoodies, stuff like that, baseball cards, whatever the fuck. When you start getting the brain supplements, it starts getting a little bit weird. But a lot of the products that he sells on, like, so I've tried the Brain Force. So when I worked at the radio station, at the time they were airing Alex Jones at night, and so every once in a while we get these care packages from Infowars, and so in the pack was Brain Force, which was his version of Alpha Brain, which is Joe Rogan's product, and I took it and it was good. I enjoyed it. I've had friends, people I know who've purchased like his products, who spent their money, and they said that they got their money's worth and they are repeat customers. But if you are going to have a network, a full-on real network that like he has other shows that he airs. In order to do that, you kind of got to hawk some shit, right? Like you got to sell a whole lot of T-shirts in order to make that work. If you aren't selling all of the T-shirts, well, then you got to sell some other stuff. So that's the Joe Rogan merchant, or not Joe Rogan, the Alex, same shit really. Alex Jones merchandising. Now, I've spoken to people who've met Alex and who know Alex, and apparently he is that same dude off of the air. Really animated, got a lot to say. Gonna talk about how the something somethings and the somethings done somethings are gonna come down and they're coming for us. But he's like that all the time, right? There's no volume down. There's, it's going to the movies this weekend, and I'm going to see Wrath of Man. Wrath of Man, starring Jason Statham. Yeah, and that's it. He's just volumes.
He's
always,
really like that. He's really like that.
Apparently, yeah, he's always like that.
I respect that.
So at least he's consistent. I don't think he gets a lot of sleep. I mean, apparently, like he's always eating and drinking something, right? Like, he's burning through so much energy, being up and like always going at it, that he's got to consistently eat. Like, I don't know if he gets time to. If you're Alex Jones, man, can you go to the mall?
No, man. There's too many people that despise Alex Jones.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. For everybody that loves him, there's people that don't know him and hate him.
Yo, man, there are people that really, really like. There's states that like Alex Jones. Anything gets torn down. But what I was saying about Alex Jones was, I'm asking you a question. If I did exactly the same thing as Alex Jones about Sandy Hook, said the exact same thing about Sandy, do you think I would just be getting sued?
I don't know that. I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah.
So, yes, but you also have to have the platform to make it matter. And if you have the platform to make it matter, then it's something that you push, right?
You don't think I would get jail time? I would probably get sued and jail time.
I I see. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if that's something that they can actually put you in jail for. If someone got hurt and it was because of something you said, maybe. But I think that you probably just get sued.
I think one of the parents shot someone for breaking into their house.
Well, utilizing their Second Amendment freedoms. Bless their hearts.
Which I support 100%. But
Yeah, but
like it was real damage done. Like people had to move out their houses.
yeah.
They had to quit their jobs. There was real damage done. Like it was like a small army coming after these people based off conspiracies.
And that's a tragedy. That's absolutely a tragedy. Are crisis actors real? Yes, they are.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Um,
But I also think that so many people that are caught up in their conspiracies, that they set up crisis so their conspiracies will look real. It's like, I don't know, bullshit it's so much bullshit out there. Then it's like the actual shit that's happening on it's just so much.
so, are you familiar with James Corbett?
No, I'm not.
So James Corbett is an author, podcaster, blogger, very smart man. Hosts the CorbettReport.com. And he never touched on lizard people and didn't touch on aliens. He didn't touch on any of that shit. He touched on COVID a lot. He touched on Bill Gates and the Gates Foundation, their connection to Planned Parenthood, their connection to sterilizations, their connection to bad vaccines in India and Africa, all kinds of stuff. He did a lot of truth to power stuff. He did a series called the 9/11 Trillions about everyone who profited and made billions of dollars off of September 11th. But he never touched aliens. He was deplatformed from YouTube for doing a documentary about how if you have an idea that deviates from mainstream science, that you will be deplatformed and you'll be taken off of the internet. So he does that documentary and he says science changes all the time. What we knew about COVID in the very beginning has changed to what we know about COVID now. So he does this documentary. He releases it. He's been on YouTube for like 12 years. Has millions and millions of views. Gone overnight.
Damn. I
Now
kind of want to watch it now.
he loses his platform. He still has his website, thecorbettreport.com. He still finds a way to put those documentaries up for people to watch. The white male's not being silenced. You just have to say something worth listening to. And it's across the board. And you don't even necessarily have to be good at saying it, but if you have guests on your podcast and your guests have good shit to say, then that pressure's on them. But like Talib Kweli runs a pretty successful podcast. And yes, he is a black male, but I would also venture to say that a lot of his opinions are far outside of the mainstream. Nobody's censoring voices. People are just getting better at saying shit. I don't even know why I mentioned Talib Kweli other than to say you should probably listen to his podcast.
Is it a good podcast? I've seen clips, but is it worth watching?
People's podcast. Well, it's one of those things. It really depends on the guest. Like, I think that conspiracy theorist, right? I think that there are some folks who give intentionally bad information or intentionally wrong information. And then there are folks that I think do it by mistake. And he said one or two things, one of them particularly about George Soros. And I was like, it's not 100% true, Talib. You're kind of misrepresenting that bit of information. But either he didn't know or he wasn't privy to the information that I was, or he is on the take. I don't know if he ever told anyone to vote for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, but I would say that if he is, then he's on the take. Or if he did, then he's on the take. But that being said, Um, it depends on the guest. The one with LP was really good. Um, and if you really like that one, Open Mike Eagle has a great series on LP. Um, but if you want a good conversation with DMX or normally it's a pretty good podcast, especially if you like hearing like rap stories. It's not necessarily. I don't think it's necessarily as fun as like Drink Champs. Like Drink Champs is just
Drink Champs is my shit. Drink Champs is
um,
my shit. I watch Drink Champs.
yeah. There's something about folks that normally talk a little bit of shit anyway after they get a few drinks in them, where they amplify the shit. Like it's just and these guys are entertainers. They've got 20 plus years of entertaining. Um,
What do you think about DMX's last interview?
um, was it the? I've caught a couple of clips of folks saying it was his last interview. One where he was saying like, um, he's not sad if he dies. He's grateful.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought that was
yeah,
pretty cool, man. I thought that was really really cool. I thought I think that more people need to, and myself included, really need to kind of embrace the moment and live in the moment. Like you can't change your past. All you can do is do moving forward. And what was it a Yoda say? You can do or not do. There is no try.
yeah. But I thought it was a good interview. I think he captured like a lot of his character, his past, his future, where he was at mentally, and his present. You know what I mean? It's actually one of my favorite interviews on Drink Champs.
Oh, are you talking about the Drink Champs interview with DMX?
Yeah,
I did not. I
yeah,
did not. I did not. See, I kind of catch my Drink Champs in clips, like from here or there. Um, They're just folks I follow that like I see. I don't have like you. I don't have time to like absorb all of the information, but I have trusted sources of information that I go to because so I can get a shortcut. Someone has established um their taste in music with
yeah.
me. They've established that they have a good taste in music. Then I'm more inclined to listen to the shit that they throw me, um, and I'm probably more inclined to like it. Um, But Drink Champs, I think is Drink Champs, and a lot of these podcasts are cool, especially when you're talking to artists or like any kind of rock podcast. You're getting the insides of stories, right? Like you might know something about this, but you didn't know it to this degree. You didn't know this particular detail. Um, you know, MC Search explaining how Nas on his very first deal with Columbia got the same deal that Billy Joel got, and Billy Joel was a fucking monster in the 70s and 80s. So
It's
like
crazy.
for Nas to get the same deal as a guy that sold 60 million records as a first time artist, and for to have a place like that, to break down, I don't know, it was cool to have like Search break down the economics of an industry that doesn't necessarily exist anymore. Um, you know, I don't know if, and you could probably do a better job explaining. Do advances, the traditional advance, does that still exist in music?
Yes, yes. It depends on if you take a deal. If you take a deal, the whole point of a record deal is basically a loan. You know, you have to pay it back,
Yeah.
and if there's certain advances that you can get the loan. Okay, like a record deal will be like, okay, you get the loan, but this part of the loan we're paying you for. Like we get the advance, but you got to pay this back, and so that's still alive today. And when you take a deal, a record deal, you got to understand like you are employed to a company. You're making a product for a company. They own your stuff. You might have a percentage of it, but they're putting up the marketing, they're putting up the promotion, they're putting up everything, the studio time, how you get to the studio, all that other stuff. They're putting up everything. They own a portion of your stuff. If you're not independent, if you're not doing just a distribution deal, they own your stuff. Like it's not you're making music for them.
Yeah. Um, So I've also heard that artists should ask for audits as well when royalty time comes around. How are royalties distributed now if we're seeing less physical copies? So like the independent artists rather than than the major label artists would be seem to be the ones that are pressing up physical copies of records now. With that being the case, how's with a major label, how is it figured out what's recoupable and what isn't? I mean, is it are artist deals smaller than they were in the past?
I think they're. I mean, because I'm an independent artist and I only made so much, I can't really speak on a major platform. But every time I've done work with someone, we usually do this thing called split sheets. And split sheets basically, you get it. You send you send an email. If you got DistroKid, basically, you put down the percentage that you want, the percentage the artist wants. You send an email. You both agree with it, and no matter if like you don't stop, you don't, you can go back and look into the deal anytime you want. It's not like a secret. Like, you know what I mean? Like every record is kind of like a deal these days. But so like if you think it's like it's hard to get screwed over because you can physically see the percentages, you can agree to it, or you cannot agree to it. So I think it's harder to get screwed over these days, but these A&Rs and these record labels come with so much flash and so many resources that I mean people get caught up in the sauce and take whatever deal that they get from them and agree whatever to be a part of that because they come with so much flash and they want that fast money.
Yeah, it's crazy to me to think about the independent artists from 20 years ago. I'm going back to Talib Kweli, perfect example. He was on Raucous Records, independent label. He's still around. If you think about the major label artists who were really popping off at that time, not a lot of them are really popping to the same degree.
Mm-hmm.
They're
No,
not really. A lot of them are still around. A lot of them aren't. And
they're
a lot of
struggling.
them nobody is checking for it or have for quite a while.
I,
Um,
I agree because they got the bag up front. They don't got no ownership, and that's why the importance of ownership. Like, what I mean? Like when DMX's album started streaming, he got all that money. Like not going through 6 different hands to get your money. Because when you sign a deal, you are like a real estate property, and the people that sign you are like real estate investors. They get their portion first. They get their portion first, and whatever's left, you get yours. And if you agree to take the money up front, you might not get anything.
so
That's why these artists. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Say what you gotta say.
did you hear Ice T's analogy of pimps and hoes? So the
No, I
record
got no.
label is the pimp, right? The record
Yeah.
label has the car, it has the jewelry, it has the money, it has all the things you want, all the things that are really enticing, that really get you. Whoo! Now, what they do with that advance, they kind of put you in the bikini and maybe they put you in that fur coat. And they take that nice car that they're giving you and they're dropping you off on the corner. Now you've gotta walk. You've got to make that walk, and you've got to make that walk, and you gotta put that switch in your hips. You got to move. You got to look sexy. You got to make people stop, slow down, and want to spend their money and their time and their energy with you, right? But you got to get that money back to daddy.
100% true.
So, so there's that.
100% true.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of. I think that it changed, but like I'm not on the inside. I'm not like working with labels now. But it seems like with the removal of like the hardware, of a physical something you put your hands on, it seems like is there less money to be made in music now than there was maybe 20 years ago, or is there more?
Yes and no. I would like to say yes, because it depends on who you ask. If you get signed to a major label and you stream like a million, whatever, you're not going to receive that profit. you have to split that profit between so many people plus the producers. But if you're independent and you do a split shit with a producer and it happens to blow up, you get that money. You can get a big you can get a big steady check all the time. So it's not about what you sell, it's about how you sell it, and it's about how your deal is when you're selling it.
And that's why DJ Muggs gets to do whatever he wants because he produced Jump Around and Insane in the Brain.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's also why Pusha T gets to do whatever he wants. He made da 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 da. I'm loving it, and he owns it.
What?
Yeah,
I have
Pusha
to look
T.
into that. No, I know what you just said. I know the words that just came out of your mouth, but
Yeah, he
I've
gets
never
royalties from
heard
that.
that. And
He
wow.
owns it.
So the funny, if that's true, that means that Pusha T is still involved in trafficking addictive substances because let's be honest, we have no idea what's in the
very much
fucking burgers.
absolutely not. I haven't ate McDonald's in a minute, and I probably would never eat them again. But yeah, he gets royalties from that. Like he has a nice portion of any time that plays. Yeah, he does. That's why he's not really pressured to put out music and just living his grown ass man life. You know what I mean? It's not about how you go about your deal is so important, and ownership in the music industry is so important. Sometimes people be so quick to get the girls, the cars, the attention, the clout, that they'll give up their ownership because they think that stuff is worth more right now. And in 10 years, they'll be struggling.
Check out @Rap Coalition. It's the official Instagram of Wendy Day. Folks at home.
Okay, I need to check.
Are you familiar with Wendy Day? Oh, I was talking to
Uh-uh.
people at home or in their car or whatever. Yeah. So Wendy Day is the founder of what's called the Rap Coalition. About Cash Money's first deal with Universal, the $40 million owned by Masters. Wendy
Yes.
Day negotiated that.
Okay.
Wendy Day is a nice lady. I believe she's from New York, who really, really liked rap music and hated seeing her favorite artists get screwed over by record companies. So she figured out a way to pay her bills while making sure that artists are able to pay their bills.
Shout out to her. That was a big ass deal.
Well, I mean, but here's the thing: is it's not just her, right? Like, or it's not just Cash Money. I mean, Eminem. It's all the way through to now. Like the biggest artist deals of the '90s and 2000s up till now, a lot of them are still going through Wendy Day, and she I'm sure she'll represent you, but more than anything, she drops so much free knowledge, like artist, musician, and it's all applicable. It's not just to rap. It's applicable to podcasts. It's applicable to rock. It's applicable to country. She just happens to direct what she does towards rap music because that's, I guess, what she listens to. So shout out to Wendy Day and the Rap Coalition. But yeah, please do that. Check out.
I need you to send me her IG information.
Yeah, I'll comment. I'll mention this when I post this one up. But yeah, Wendy Day is a national treasure, my man. Wendy Day is. If you are an artist, if you are a writer, if you are a painter, if you are figuring a way, trying to learn a way to sell your art so that you don't have to be an accountant, Wendy Day will help you.
Okay, definitely. I'm gonna need her information.
Yeah. Well, go to her IG page. All right. So what do you have? I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to do some dad stuff because that's the second your internet is unstable pop up. if folks are interested in getting a hold of your music, how do they do that?
Google DJ Savvy. Just DJ Savvy on Spotify, Tidal. Just look me up, or Apple Music, and it should pop up.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, my friend. Appreciate that.
All right, man. I gotta go I gotta go spin some turntables, man. I'll holler at you.
Are you DJing? Where are you DJing?
Yeah, I'll be DJing at LED tonight, I think.
Okay. So if this is Wednesday, if this podcast goes up on Wednesday, go to LED tonight and go listen to some DJ Savvy actually DJing.
Appreciate that.
All right.
I'll holler at you, man. We gotta do this again.
We do.